Hey guys, it is Dactymatic J here today with the first episode of our very simplistic Starcraft 2 series. And I say simplistic because of course I'm not the best at Starcraft 2, but nonetheless we shall get it started right here. So now at the opening screen of Starcraft, the first thing you want to do when you have Starcraft is definitely go into the menus. So you go to menu, then you want to hit options, and at the graphics settings, of course, I really recommend you to choose low because anything else isn't really necessary. It gives you the highest frame rate and still looks great if you have your texture quality to ultra. And so other than that, that's all you really want to do. I like to have it on custom and I keep the unit portraits on 3D. Now you'll see over here that I ask that everyone turns on the expansion level to Heart of the Swarm, of course, because you want to be playing Heart of the Swarm. And of course, I'm showing you right here. Show alerts, you want that checked. Show game timer and show build grid. Now the game timer shows you the in-game time while you're actually in the game, and the build grid shows you, of course, how things look when you're placing it down and how much space it actually takes up. Now I keep the enable simple command card off and I always show worker status. I keep off display team color life bars because it gets in the way, and everything else as you can see is on, select larva, etc. Show unit life bars, there's damage and always. A lot of pros use always or damage. I prefer damage because it gets less cluttered and you can easily see which ones to click. Unclickable control groups, in my opinion, because you don't want to accidentally be clicking your control groups. And yes, you want to save all your replays because you want to be able to see things in the past just so that you can see how bad you were. So if you go into the hotkeys, you can create your own profile, reset it, or delete it. You should probably be choosing the standard profile and set up more commands as you want. You can see that as I'm going through here, you can see other customization options. You want to also go in global, and oh wait, you actually don't want to be going into the control groups, excuse me. You want to be going into camera, and you could see the camera locations. You want to enable them or customize them however you please. I'll go into that more later in the tutorial series. So now returning to the game. So getting right into the game, guys, this is StarCraft 2. We are playing on the map Akalon Wastes and getting right into it. So basically a basic introduction to RTS. What is RTS? So an RTS game is a real-time strategy game, which means that you are constantly doing things. It is a strategy on the movement level, in the fact that it is always moving. You always want to be doing something to counter your opponent, kind of like chess, except you're actively increasing your economy and building units and building up your army to then attack your opponent. So it's not like Civilization or something like Final Fantasy, which is turn-based, but it is going to be completely active. So immediately as you get into the game here, you're going to notice that you have a central building, in this case a command center, and then the SCV, which I just selected, which is a space construction vehicle for Terrans. Now Terran is the human race, as you can see when I select the SCV, and you'll notice 8 mineral patches, which are the mineral fields, which start off at 1,500, and as you notice as my SCVs are mining, that it decreases by 5, and I gain 5 more minerals each time. You can select any SCV by individually clicking, or as you just saw me do, you can hold down left click, drag over to create a box, which selects the amount of units that are in that box. Now you'll notice in my command center, I can hit S to train SCV, or just simply hit that. You'll notice in the top left of that command grid at the bottom right, and you'll notice these Vespine geysers, which start at 2,500. Now these two are the most important things basically in the game because they are your 2 resources. Now you're going to need these resources to of course produce more units, and you're also going to need supply. You could see in the top right I have minerals, Vespine, and supply. Now supply, you'll notice it's 6 out of 11. That's because I have 6 workers and I have a cap of 11 at the moment. I can also increase my supply cap by building supply depots. Now it caps off at 200, but anyways, let's get back to the command center. Now you'll notice that it has the bottom right options. I can also reselect my SCVs by of course just boxing at any time. And now you'll see at the train SCV option, it costs 50 minerals, takes 17 seconds, and it costs 1 supply. So as I build one, you'll notice that it is the basic worker unit, and this yellow line appears at my command center. Now this is the rally point that I can change at any time if I want. But anyways, getting back to the SCV. So as you see, as it produces out, it instantly starts mining at the rally point that I set it to. You can see me changing the rally point around when I right click, as shown. I could just right click anywhere to change the rally point. Now this works for all production facilities, including the command center, where you can direct your units to automatically go to the location that the rally point is set at, which is very important for your mineral fields. You want to rally over to where there's no workers. So you're going to make another worker, and of course keep your worker production up and have your workers constantly mining minerals. But as you see, I'm floating a lot of minerals here, so I can actually do a lot of things with that other than just build SCVs. So I'm going to bring my SCV over here and go into the build options. You can also make him stop, and then go into the build options and build a supply depot. You could just click that or hit B and an S for supply depot, or you can hit B on the build option and then re-hit S. Now you want to also remember to not do what I just did, which is of course remake your rally point to each mineral patch. So you want to just send them over to the mineral patches again like I just showed. And as the supply depot finishes, you're going to notice that I'm nearing the supply cap, and it increases the cap to 11 out of 19. So as I'm doing this, I can now create more workers and create different buildings while my workers are being produced. You can simply move around by right-clicking anywhere with your selected unit, which is, again, you could select units by left-clicking them, or by dragging over a box by holding down left-click and dragging it over and letting go, which selects all the units within that box. So I'm just showing you here how to move around your unit. It's just right-clicking. And so with our unit now, we can also create a barracks, as I'm showing you with the selection. So as you notice, the refinery does not let you build or extract anything. So you're going to want to build a refinery to actually be able to get gas, because you're going to need gas as the second resource in the future. I'm again also going to want to have constant SCV production, which is always good. And you'll notice as you're progressing through the game that you're collecting a lot of minerals, so you're going to want some army. You can hit your basic B, and then your basic structures B, or you can hit the basic structures again twice, and then go into the barracks, which is again B, or you can just click barracks. It costs 150 minerals and takes 65 seconds. It enables you to build marines, reapers, bunkers from SCVs, and orbital commands on the command centers. It is an infantry production unit, or infantry production facility, excuse me. So you're also going to want to remember to always have good SCV production, and you're going to want to saturate your gases at 3 out of 3 as shown on your refineries, extractors, or simulators depending on what race you play. Oh, I also forgot to mention, there are 3 races in Starcraft, being Zerg, Protoss, and Terran. Terran is this human race, as I'm showing you. Protoss is a more highly intellectual race, which revolves around technology and other cool things, while Zerg is a more primal dinosaur-like race. Now as the barracks is done here, you can notice that I can create a marine or a reaper. Now a marine is a general purpose infantry which attacks both air and ground and costs 50 minerals and takes 25 seconds. So we'll just build that for now, and we'll send more SCVs over to our refinery to saturate it. And as this marine is building, you're going to want to build another marine, just because you're going to want more army with the amount of minerals and gas that you actually have. And you can see also upgrade to orbital command, which allows me to upgrade my command center to a different command center, which is the orbital command, which also has energy for commands that are really useful in the future. You're always going to want your main and your natural base expansions to always be orbital commands over planetary fortresses. Now I'm just showing you here the movement of the marines, which is exactly the same. You just right click anywhere. You see I'm on the move command, and there's also the stop command. I can also hold position at any time, which makes my units stay where they are. I can also select my units and hit P, and then select another area for them to patrol, which sets them on the patrol command so that they walk back and forth between the location and attack anything that enters the area or vicinity. And there is the attack command. Now the attack command can be used by just simply clicking anywhere, like right clicking a enemy, or by hitting A and then clicking Now, the reason you don't want to use the move command is if, let's say, your enemy engages you from like that where I just boxed off, then it would be very dangerous for you, because then your units would just do what you told them and actually stay on the move command instead of defending themselves. So you always want to move on the attack command, as I'm showing you right now. So you're just going to want to A and then left click, which is how you move around with your army. And I'm actually going to not make a Marine, but show you a Reaper. And as you can see, as I just showed, you can cancel your unit production at any time by hitting the cancel button or hitting escape. So I'm going to build a Reaper here. Reapers are, of course, 50 gas and 50 minerals. And I'm going to show you the orbital command here. It also produces SCVs, but you also get 3 useful commands, which is mule, call down supply, and scanner sweep. So I'm just going to call down a mule for now. Mules are generally what you're going to always want to do. It costs 50 energy, and it brings down a mule, which is generally worth about 4 to 4.5 SCVs, which is very, very good for your economy. So you're always going to want mules. As you can see, my supply limit has capped, so you're going to always want good supply depot production so that you can constantly produce things. Remember that you can always check your supply at the top right. The second thing that gives more supply is also by building another command center, which take much longer but allow you to boost your economy as well as give you some free supply. So I'm just going to build my natural expansion in my base because I'm a Terran player, so I can at any time just build my natural expansion anywhere and float it over. Now, as you noticed right there, you can queue up commands simply by doing it or by holding down shift and then making the command issued. So as you could see there, I simply built the supply depot and issued the SCV to go over to that mineral patch. Now, as you can see with the Reapers, they do 4 damage and 2 attack. They have 5 range, same as Marines, but they are much faster. Now, the thing about Reapers is they can't attack air. However, as you can notice, their jetpacks, they are the one unit that are very, very easy to produce that can jump up and down cliffs. Now, as you can see, I'll show you in a second, as I'm showing you its movement speed, and you can simply jump up and down cliffs. It's very useful for raids, surprise attacks, hits on their mineral field, or for simply just scouting. Reapers don't do too much damage, so of course you're going to want to mainly use them for scouting or harassment. You're not going to really want them composed in your main army. So I'm going to upgrade my natural expansion also to an orbital command. And I'm just going to select my army and bring it over. So of course you could just select your army. I'm just showing you the units, and I'm going to build an add-on here. Add-ons, you can also see, can be cancelled at any time. So you can look at the barracks add-ons, and you can see there is there's 2 options, excuse me, at the bottom left of the controls. There is the tech lab and the reactor. Now the reactor allows 2 units to be created simultaneously, which is either Marine or Reapers, and the tech lab lets you produce different units such as the Marauder and the Ghost. As you can see, the requirements require an attached tech lab. So I'm just going to produce a tech lab on that one. And I'm actually going to show you some of the other structures that you can make that are also grayed out. As you can see, at any time you could view the grayed out structures or units and their requirements on the tab. So I'm going to build another barracks here because I'm going to want more production. And you can see my add-on finished, and now I'm able to create a Marauder because I have the filled requirements. You can also double click at any time on a production facility or anything, and it will select all of the things within your screen that are the same. So I double clicked on 2 barracks, and of course it linked together 2 barracks. So I'm going to create a Marauder here. Marauders are heavy assault infantry, so that means they're armored, and they actually do quite a lot of damage to other armored things. The enemy is actually attacking here, and I don't have enough because I haven't been producing. But I may be able to hold this off with actually some SCV pulls, which I might have to do. It seems that my Marauder is not going to be able to do enough damage. So some of the things I could do in this situation is either lift my buildings, which would be bad. I could pull some SCVs, which is also bad, or try to rely on my reinforcements. So it doesn't look like I'm going to be able to rely on my reinforcements, so I actually might have to do an SCV pull. So I'm just going to pull some SCVs. This is a very desperate thing since it'll affect your economy heavily. I'm actually going to want to surround the Sentry and the Stalker here instead of the Zealots because the Sentry and the Stalker are not so melee styled all-in attack type of unit. I'll also, with my Marauder, attack the surrounded Stalker, because of course Marauders do extra damage to Stalkers. So I'm going to pull some more SCVs to actually protect my Marauder and kill it while the SCVs are trying to protect with my Marine and Marauder. So now that I have my production back up, I'm just going to want to keep producing these, and I'm going to actually want to show you the advanced structure list. So at the beginning you can only build a Ghost Academy or a factory. Now with the factory it'll allow me to produce mechanical units, so I'm just going to want to get that so that it unlocks more options in my advanced structures, and so that I'll be able to actually build different units. So I'm just bringing over all my units and rallying them over. Normally you'd want to have constant SCV production and building more supply depots. So I'm just going to land my mules here to show you just how much of an economic boost it gives. And actually, I will actually float over my orbital command, which I should have done ages ago, to my natural. Now you can see that you can click on the minimap at any time, of course, as I said before. Just by clicking and dragging it around, you can see that my enemy would definitely be in the top left because that is the only cross spawn. So we're going to have my unit come over here and just start producing more from the barracks, and my factory is done. Now my factory, as you can see, has quite a lot of units. There's the Hellion, the Widowmine, the Siege Tank, the Hellbat, and the Thor, but I can only build the Hellion and the Widowmine. I would need a higher tier, like an armory, to build the Thor and the Hellbat, so I'll just build a reactor on that factory for now, while producing units and transferring some SCVs. So with my add-ons, one really interesting thing is that you can, of course, as always as Terran, lift off your buildings, which includes all your production facilities and your command center. So you can lift it off and move them around by right-clicking at any time, so you can escape with your base, or you can proxy buildings. You can also, actually, really interesting enough, you could switch your buildings, which have different add-ons, and it will gain the requirement that was necessary. I'll actually just put that back there. And I'll switch my factory onto the tech lab and my barracks back onto that different reactor. So now my barracks are only able to produce Marines, and my factory can now produce siege tanks. So I'm going to get one of those and start producing more Marines. As you can see, the Marauders are now grayed out on both of the barracks. I'm actually going to also want to build constant supply depots again, because I'm getting really close to supply cap. And with my units, I'm just going to have them selected, and of course I'm going to show you the other buildings, such as the engineering bay, which allows you to upgrade, and the bunker. There's also more enabled because I built my factory, and I'll just send them back. Now I'm going to want to have constant production. You always want to have constant production on your production facilities as a Terran, or as anything, really, since you're going to want to have either a constant production of workers or constant production of an army, so that you have a decent army to defeat your opponent. So I'm going to actually move out here. And I'm paying constant attention to my my army, which is not really what you want to do. You want to usually just set them on the attack command. I actually engage here, and I lose my siege tank because I wasn't really paying attention. But I'll just defeat this small army, since my army is much larger. And my opponent is Protoss, if you guys were curious. And I'll build a starport here, which allows me to, of course, build air units, which is just the higher tier of Terran units. So I'm just going to march into my opponent's base, and notice he has a natural expand, kill his army. Of course, you always want to be on the attack move, remember that. I'm going to select the opponent's nexus, which of course really isn't the most important. What you want to be doing is killing the workers first, but whatever, I know I'm going to win. So I'm going to build 2 more refineries at the bottom because I need more gas, and I'm going to build more supply depots. Usually you want to select 2 or more units, or 2 or more SCVs when you're really getting close, and your production is really high for supply depots. So I'm just going to keep marching into this guy's base, sort of harassing him. With his natural done, I know that I'm in too much of a lead, so I can just march into his main and start killing his production facilities and upgrades. So actually what you want to be doing as any person right now is while attacking, what you actually want to do is be having constant macro. Now what macro and micro is it's just two terms in Starcraft. Now macro is unit production, building your army, creating more production facilities, resource collection, your income, everything like that, while micro is unit management. As I'm showing you with my units, as I'm focus firing the Nexus, as I'm killing the workers off, that is all micro. Anything that involves using your army to kill your opponent, I'm just moving them around, army management, that is all micro, excuse me. Now macro would of course like this be making my supply depots, of course building different add-ons on my structures and everything like that. You can also I'll show you right here the two different commands on the orbital command, which is the supply drop, which I just showed you earlier, and the scanner sweep, which allows you to see invisible things, and it works as a detector, and you can also see things on the map for a momentary time with your orbital command, so you can scout out your opponent before you actually have to engage him. So right now I'm sure I'm gonna win because of course I've killed his main, I've killed his natural, and I'm just marching into his third. Normal circumstances this might be a lot worse because the Protoss player got a third way before I had one, which is generally what you don't want Protoss player to be doing, since you want to be on equal or more bases. But nonetheless, I'll just produce some medevacs, which heal my units, and more siege tanks, keep my production up, keep my worker production up, and constant production of everything while also attacking the opponent. And you'll see right here, he GG's, and bam, which concludes the first episode of my StarCraft 2 tutorial series. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and make sure to tune in weekly now on Saturdays for my StarCraft 2 Saturdays. I really will enjoy doing that, and I hope to see you guys all there. I also ask of you, if you want to share some love and give it a thumbs up, it really helps every single time. If you really liked it, add it to your favorites, and of course, as always, don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys all around next time.